Hi, and welcome to the section number 5 of our course. In the previous section, we spoke about the Apple Watch. So we had an overview of the Apple Watch application. Then we learned how to design the UI of the application using storyboards and how to connect the UI to the code using IB outlet and IB outlet connection. In this section, we will talk about how to store data on iOS applications. So we will talk about UserDefault and how to use UserDefault as a local storage. Then we will talk about the Codable protocol, that is a new protocol introduced with Swift 4, and how this protocol helps us to store a custom object into the local storage. And at the end, we will use UserDefault into the WatchOS application to improve the quality of the application. Let's start with our first video, use UserDefault as a local storage. In this video, we will learn how to access the UserDefault and as well how to read and write data from and into UserDefault. To start, let's create a new playground file. Here we have our blank playground file. UserDefault is a singleton class. This means that there will be only one instance of the UserDefault among the whole application. And to access to this single instance is pretty simple because the UserDefault class has a property that is called the standard. So let's type it. This gives us access to the standard UserDefault. This is, as I said, the singleton instance. So let's assign a variable to this value. Let's call, for example, preference. Now that we have this object is the singleton instance of the UserDefault. And the UserDefault can be used like a small database to save and retrieve data from the application. What is important is that the standard UserDefault is persisted on the local storage. So this means that when the application is terminated, the data are not lost because are saved automatically from the operating system. They are saved automatically in a file. And what type of data can we store in this storage? Basically, we can store everything that we want. But for now, we are limited on basic type, like for example, integer or string or numbers. Let's try, for example, to store a string into UserDefault. For example, the first string that we have here, hello playground. To do so, we can call a method on the preference, on the variable preference. We have a method that's called the set for key, and we can select the method that is more appropriate. In this case, it's any, because we want to save a string. And we need to assign a key to this value that we are storing. For example, let's call welcome string. And that's it. Now we are sure that this value is stored into the database and will be available even when the application is closed. But how can we read data from UserDefault? It's pretty simple. It's basically the same way. We need to access to the standard UserDefault and then get the value. And then get the value for the specific string. The result as of this operation, as we can see here on the right, it's a hello playground as we expected. And we can do exactly the same thing for other values. For example, we can store the integers and we can retrieve as well the integers. That, as we expect, is 42.